Customs clearance up to 7 years. Here, well, they said if you get drowned, you're delayed, you stand upright.
Are you ready to talk to me?
One of the highlights was being in the Bundestag with Herr Klose, to be there in the Foreign Affairs Committee room. That was fabulous. And then finally here in Denmark, the energy minister, she seems to have enough energy to make everything sustainably powered here in Denmark.
I work in solar in California, and we see so many challenges to developing solar projects, and to come here and spend the week with all these experts and to really invigorates my work and says that there is a lot of hope and it can be done. To have a CEO of a electric utility say his goal is 85% renewables and he wants to front load it because he's not sure how long he's going to be CEO, that's just amazing.
I will have some stories about what's happening in Europe with electric cars, and I'll try to explain the concept of the feed-in tariff, which will be challenging, but I'm going to give it a good shot. In other areas, I had the happy realization that the U.S. is not really falling very far behind.
When we had the meeting with Dr. Carsten Zach from the Environmental Ministry, he mentioned to us how important process is in this also, and referring to the Copenhagen Climate Summit, process as opposed to substance. And I was not really aware of what an important role process can play and how important process can also be for successful outcome. So this may be one lesson that we take with us going forward to Mexico.
We heard from terrific speakers from the government level to the private sector to the municipal level, but then we also had really an exciting exchange with the people in the program. I think there was a really interesting sharing of information. We were constantly exchanging ideas, and I almost learned more from the other people in the program as well as from the people that we heard officially during the day.
What I mainly took away is the great network of people, the inspirations I got. Although it doesn't directly relate to my job in the area of executive education, I feel it is important for people who work in say, traditional jobs, not directly relating to the field of sustainable development, to provide inputs.
There's so many innovative things going on in Europe. For instance, we've been spending the last few days here in Denmark, getting to know how innovative the energy sector here is, how much Denmark has innovated away from oil. And I think these are lessons that America can learn a lot from, to be frank.
I have had a very bad tendency to push all of the climate change questions to my colleague who's the science editor, but I think from now on I might actually face them myself. I really loved the tour of the Dong Power Station. I mean, how often do you get to tour a power station?
In Denmark, to see the energy companies and to see, how they had such foresight, such, long-term planning to think in the 1970s, we can't keep doing things like this. I think that's really valuable for people back in the US. Oftentimes we work on the scientific side, but we have our own technical language and we talk about how to communicate, but to talk to the practitioners, the journalists and the people who really have to do this for a living was really fascinating for me.
To see the willingness that people in Copenhagen to get out of their cars, even in weather like this, and take bikes or take public transportation, makes me hopeful that at least in some of the cities in the US we can implement similar solutions.
When the chief of the European Environmental Agency gave a talk, she spoke about how the next great wave is to move forward from this emphasis on the modeling process and this delusion that you could take global models and boil them down or reduce them down to a regional level, and how we have to start thinking more clearly about adaptation strategies and have to start creating scenarios for adaptation and working our way up and not relying so much on the models.
And they flew on radiance and joy, so high, so high. And there was no cold, no hunger, no fear. They were with God.